Good evening, everyone. Good evening, councillors, officers and members of the public. Welcome to the Wednesday, 20th of March 2024 Development Assessment Committee. I will now open the meeting with the present and apologies. We have 6 councillors in attendance tonight, and we are expecting Councillor Sullivan to be joining us online any minute, so we'll wait for that. In accordance with Moorabool Shire's Council's governance rules, the Council will be recording and live streaming this meeting. I will move to confirmation of minutes. Is there any questions in relation to the minutes for the last meeting? Do I have a mover for the last meeting's minutes? Thank you, Councillor Berry. Seconded by Councillor Dudzik. Any dissent? All those in favour? Carried. Councillors, does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare in relation to tonight's meetings and items? No. Thank you. I will move on to item 7, community planning reports. Item 7.1, buildings and works, the display of signage, packaged liquor licence associated with a bottle shop and car parking reduction at 176 Main Street, Bacchus Marsh. We have 2 speakers to the item, Mr Barnfather and Mr Holmes will be joining us together. If you would like to take a seat at the front. Gentlemen, you both have 3 minutes each, and just press the button when you're ready to speak to councillors. Thank you.
Well, thank you, councillors, for having us here this evening and giving us this opportunity to present to you and answer any questions at the end, if you have any. Obviously, we've put forward an application for Dan Murphy's to introduce themselves into the shopping centre, which is in the main street of Bacchus Marsh. We've gone through the process. There were some objections to the application, and obviously an officer's recommendation in for support, which is before you this evening. We've also subsequently spoken to some of the councillors prior to this meeting and discussed some of some comments around car parking signage and the use itself. In terms of the use itself, we think it's appropriate for this shopping centre. It's a use within a centre that already has some bottle shops, and we've outlined to the councillors today that Endeavour Group, who also own Dan Murphy's, have an agreement in place that the BWS next door that will shut down as part of the introduction of Dan Murphy's into this area. We think that's appropriate, and we think that having another bottle shop into the shopping centre will just diversify, add a range of products into this area that are not available today through a full-line Dan Murphy's store. We feel that as part of this application, there is a range of signage. Most of the signage does go into the existing signage boxes because the reject shop has been removed from the centre, and there is one new sign which is sort of in the car parking area, not visible from the street, and also a sign opposite Young Street, which is below an Aldi sign. It's another smaller sign. We think that's appropriate given its location. It won't have any detriment on the community. We note there's some comments, there's some discussion about car parking. Dan Murphy's would like to introduce some direct-to-boot bays, which is basically, to facilitate 3 bays, it would take 5 bays that are there today. So there's a reduction of 2 car parking spaces associated with this application. We believe that is appropriate in the context of the bays that are available within the whole shopping centre. There's empirical data which I've shared with councillors today saying that the demands associated with this centre are contained within the centre, even with this use added. But we've also said that, look, in the event there is an issue with the car parking provision on site, there is the ability to offset that, and we've given a plan showing that we can actually facilitate the provision of 2 additional car parks in the centre to basically mean that there's no offset or no loss of car parking within the centre. Tonight we're asking you our preference is obviously to move support in accordance with the officer's recommendation, but equally we are comfortable providing the additional car parking if is the difference between having support or not. Our priority is obviously to get Dan Murphy's into this centre and up and running, and then obviously BWS will close. So tonight, we urge you to support the proposal. Jason here will also speak briefly about it, but at the end, if there's any questions from us, we're happy to answer them and see if we can resolve anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jace. Thank you, Councillors, again for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. Not to reiterate what Jason's just gone through. I think at a headline, we are, as part of the proposal and the lease deal that's been signed, that there will be a reduction of one current retail offering in the township. So there will be a closure of one store, and admittedly, yes, a larger store will open. I think it's important to note too that Dan Murphy's, as being a national brand, that they are more than just a liquor store. So they do have quite an emphasis on community, people. They also have an emphasis on the environment in terms of the sustainability aspect of their business. So that they also foster quite a large non-alcoholic range of beverages too. So they really are a retail outlet that focuses on the community and really shares a brand and has a range of products to service both those that are after an alcoholic beverage and there's also the non-alcoholic. So they are really more than just a liquor store. To touch on the point with regards to car parking, the direct to boot, it does introduce a different vehicle for the business to sell products, and as we all understand, there are those customers and the shoppers that do just want to come in. They know what they want to buy, so the direct to boot spaces, albeit that they do take up and have created that initial reduction of 2 spaces, it does provide some relief to the main car park because we're taking people off the car park and into a spot, high turnover, and we're freeing up some spaces within the main centre car park. To that point though, we have reworked the plans this afternoon and we are confident that we can integrate some additional car spaces in to offset that shortfall, and again, happy to talk a bit more to that if councillors have any questions on that. So look, I think in summary, look, again, we as the officers have recommended support, we would urge councillors to follow suit, and again, we're happy to take any questions about the proposal. So thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Councillors, do we have any questions for Mr Barnfather or Mr Holmes? Yes, Councillor Ward.
I have a couple, if I may. I've spent a lot of time working in Ballarat, and I've seen clubs buy at the Dan Murphy, so I understand the importance of the direct-to-boot space and being able to get trolleys between them. But I'm more interested in the expected employment prospects for people in Bacchus Marsh. The hours are obviously quite extensive, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 till 7 on a Sunday. Obviously, you don't need experienced staff to start, but how many jobs do you think this will create for Bacchus Marsh or Moorabool Shire, more to the point?
Thank you, Councillor. That is a good question. We're obviously here representing the shopping centre owners. So without speaking directly for the tenant, although we do have some, certainly the Dan Murphy's is a larger tenancy. It will give employment opportunities, casual, part-time and full-time, far in excess of what the BWS that is closing currently would entertain. So in terms of numbers, that would be something that we could absolutely revert back to you, but certainly there would be greater opportunity for larger numbers to be employed here across a range of part-time, casual and full-time workers. So if we can take that on notice, we can come back with some specific numbers, but there is a greater opportunity in employment.
And my next part of that was just for clarity with the BWS closing, is that the one in Young Street?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Dudzik.
The area where you're proposing to have your pickup of alcohol, when you come out the shopping centre, there's actually not a lip on the side of the pavement to go towards that area, because I know when I've actually parked there previously, it's hard to get your trolley down to that section. Will there be a lip so that people can get their trolley off the edge of the shopping centre towards that area safely, and also for pram access and disability access?
So specifically, are you asking about the direct-to-boot bays?
As you come out of the shopping centre and you step off the concrete at the edge of the shopping centre, if you've parked over to the left where your bays are, there's no lip to get your trolley down and you've got to bounce it off the edge.
Yes.
That's not going to go good with a trolley full of alcohol. Will there be a proper edge so people can get their trolleys safely from the shopping centre to your base?
Definitely, yeah. That is part of the proposal to improve pedestrian and trolley access through this. If you're looking at the plans, I'm not sure whether you've got them in front of you. There are clouded, sort of hatched across the things, which will have the set downs into the actual the car parking area to allow that to occur. For the direct to boot bays, though, there is a separate access and ramp down for staff to use to get to those bays and take trolleys down as well. So there's two ways to do that. But for the balance of the community that use the Dan Murphys that don't want to use those direct to boot, yes, they're doing improvements to the paving and works around the car parks to make sure that vehicles or trolleys can move through and people can get across each of the aisles as well. It's like there's a lot of access points, so they're putting pedestrian the crossings in there as well for this.
I have a question from Councillor Tatchell.
Thank you. Mine's to officers, and I'll move this, by the way, if you want,
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell.
as written. My question is that over a number of years, and of course the shopping precincts of our major towns, Bacchus Marsh, Belen to a point, it's now come to a problem where existing businesses, including pubs and clubs that have been there 100 years, the pubs have been well over 100 years, and some of the shops have been there for, 50, 60, 70 years. And of course, none of those car parking problems were an issue back then, and they were issued permits to build these buildings and create their businesses and build a shopping precinct in the main street. And it all went very well. And of course, they've had the luxury over those 70, 100 years of getting free parking. A good example is Flanagan's. If you look at Flanagan's, they don't have a car park for anything. They don't have a bottle shop for it. So you've got to go in there and buy other stuff. Someone's going to park and take up a parking space. And no different to most of the shops in the main drag. But whenever we get a planning permit for a new business where we're trying to increase commercial activity to match or parallel the growth in both Bacchus Marsh and Bland, we come across this problem all the time where it ends up at the DAC because there needs to be a car parking waiver because there's no, it's done so generically that the planning has no flexibility within this, so it has to come to DAC because of the car parking. But it's a self-fulfilled prophecy when you create a policy that actually retards one part of the process to hopefully increase the other part. It becomes a moot point in terms of what we're trying to do. And we need to have that flexibility. If we want to have growth of our retail sectors, and I know that we've just spent a lot of money doing a retail report, and within that report none of this is included, where these problems on every new business as it comes into any of these main streets is going to come across exactly this problem. And yet we don't have a solution. Because these gentlemen here, I'm sure they didn't want to be here tonight. I'm sure the proponent didn't want to be here tonight. And I'm sure the trade-offs that have had to be made here didn't need to happen under any normal circumstance. We're not in the business of creating business. If Kentucky Fried Chicken wants to park itself next to another Kentucky Fried Chicken, all I can say is good luck to the chooks. I mean, it makes absolutely no difference to the planning. If they want to put 5 bottle shops in a row, that's not our job. Our job's this, to make sure we get away with it. And the actual moot point in here, well, the reason it's actually here is because the car parking thing that shouldn't exist in the first place, because all of the other people are getting the benefit of it for nothing. And we've seen it with planning. We've seen it every time someone wants to subdivide, someone wants to open a teddy bear shop, they immediately have a problem. An accountant, if he wants to open a small store somewhere in the main street, he has a problem. We need to have a policy that gives flexibility based on whether the amount of people are employed, what it brings to the town in terms of your local economy, the knock-on effect of those businesses within your town, which we all know is around 7 to 1. And stop looking at a bloody book that actually retards our ability to go forward.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. This is, we're not in a debate, are we?
It's a bloody question, Councillor. Pull your head in.
Did you have a question
There's no
for
question
officers?
in that, mate. That's a full-on debate.
Councillor Tatchell.
Bullshit.
Tatchell.
Sorry, councillors.
That's a question of officers.
Okay, so your yep.
Where's the policy?
Where's the policy? Mr. Bazout now. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council adopted, I can give you the precise date, but it's last year they adopted a car parking framework and policy. It has got a component in that when we assess planning permit applications, we do assess it against the planning scheme provisions, and then the policy provides some guidance as to what should be considered, whether it's economic benefit, whether there's other considerations that could be taken into account. So we do have a policy, and the policy is not in the planning scheme, but it does provide guidance for further consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Bazout. Now, Councillor Berry, you had a question.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure which one I'll be able to answer this, but in other Dan Murphy stores, is this a regular occurrence with your car parks that you have bays like this for the quick in and quick out people? Because I'm not. I think my question today to you two was, how do you police that? Because those bays immediately there are used by current customers, and I've seen a lot of elderly using them. So yeah, I'm not sure whether it can be used for the.
With regards to that, yes, it's becoming more and more common for its convenience. Order online, go and collect, etc. We do them for Kmart's and other bigger brands these days, and yeah, Dan Murphy's is one that is commonly rolling them out. Mm-hmm. In terms of the policing component, it is a private car park because it's on the shopping centre site. There is, if someone chooses, as I think I mentioned to you, if someone chooses to park in one of those spaces that's not direct to boot, there's not much they can do about it. Just obviously inconveniences people that would turn up to use those, they'd have to park elsewhere. So there's no policing, it's not a council issue. But I think what we look at is common courtesy if it's available, and the signage will be such that it is there for direct to boot. We hope people use it that way and then come and go quickly through that, but we can't stop people parking there if they chose to.
Thank you.
Councillor Dudzik, you had a question.
I would like to second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Dudzik. Councillor Edwards, I just want to ask, I know you're playing with your screen there. Were you trying to put your hand up to ask a question, or?
No, I just got to ask a question if I could see something, and that's all right.
So you did want to ask a question?
I just moved it in case there was my work papers underneath that the people were viewing.
So you don't want to ask a question?
No, I'm fine,
okay.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other question? Thank you, Mr. Barnfather and Mr. Holmes. You can resume your seat in the gallery. Thank you. Councillors, we have Councillor Tatchell that has moved the item and seconded by Councillor Dudzik. Do I have any dissent? No. I will ask whether anyone would like to ask any more questions or speak on the matter? No? Okay. I'll go to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? It is carried. Thank you. Item 8, update of trends, issues and other matters. I will now ask Executive Manager, Community Planning and Development. Do we have any updates? Thank you, Mr. Bazout now.
No updates, Madam Mayor.
Do we have any updates on VCAT decisions?
No updates, Madam Mayor.
I will go around the room and ask councillors if there is any other business. Councillor Ward?
No, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Tatchell? Councillor Edwards?
No, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Berry?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Dudzik?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Right. The next Development Assessment Committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, 17th of April 2024. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, councillors, officers and members of the public for attending this evening's meeting. I will declare the meeting closed. Thank you.